You know, some women out here who are single, they going through it. They going through it for real, for real. Let's go ahead and check this woman out here.
I'm an exhausted single mother living in California, paying $2,000 for rent, and I feel like I am drowning. And
when you said California and you're a single mother, that's a recipe for disaster, okay? California is a state that you got to have a lot of money to live in. And unless you're a single mother who is making $200,000+ a year, maybe $175,000, you can't be in California like that. And you got, well, let's continue.
That, what I was chasing, what I thought I wanted in my life as far as marriage and children and fame and success, I don't want any of that anymore. I just want to be able to live.
Well, you just said that, you know, you're not chasing marriage or whatever case may be. See, here's the thing. You know, a lot of times we hear you women, you know, kind of demonize Big Mama. And they say, oh, they was in these marriages because they had to be. You know, nobody had to do anything. You had a choice. You could have left if you wanted to. Okay. Oh, well, they couldn't have bank accounts. They couldn't have this. The man had to co-sign. They had to do this and that and the third. So they had no choice. So when they got the freedom to, they left and this and that and the third. Yes, some of them did leave. But some situations were bad for them to leave. There were some of these men that was beating their women. There were some of these men who were cheating on them constantly, had whole families on the other side of all over the town, right? Other kids. So some situations were bad. Some of them were. Some men were very, very disrespectful. So when they got a chance to be on their own or whatever, they left. I get it. But that wasn't representative of the majority, though. And online, you want to take a small negative minority and make that the majority. So you sell that propaganda to other women, and then they thinking that marriage is shackling, marriage is slavery. Oh, I don't want this. I don't want a family. I just want to travel. I just want to do this and that and the third or whatever. But then you get in a situation like this woman here who's drowning in California, a state where personally you shouldn't be in that state unless you're married or got a very good high paying job. Let me tell you about marriage. If you got a good man in your life, I'm talking about a good man. He loves you. He respects you. He has a vision. He's a visionary. He's actually, you know, saying, hey, babe, we're going to do this and that and the third. I'm working toward this. We're going to do this. You know, you need that in your life. And a lot of times y'all don't have that. You don't have that because they say without a vision, the people perish. You understand? You need some leadership. A lot of you feel like you don't, but you do. You need some leadership. And if you have a good man in your life, trust me, if she had a man right now, she would not be drowning. If she had a husband, she would not be drowning because he'd be working, she'd be working, and then they can pay those bills together. What if he made enough money that he didn't even need her to work, but she's working to hey, I'm saving for vacation. I'm putting money up in our savings account. Whatever case may be, she wouldn't be exhausted. See, that's the thing. On the internet, they teach women you don't need a husband, like F a ring and all this other stuff. But you know, like Beyonce sitting up here talking about single ladies and doing all the single ladies while she laid up with her husband. Sierra making music and all that, but she laid up with her husband. I always tell people, pay attention to that. Pay attention. Whatever y'all want to say about Jay-Z, Beyonce behind right there with him. So if Beyonce couldn't sing no more, she good regardless. But I always say, don't shun Big Mama and what she did and what she had to do. Because Big Mama wasn't suffering like y'all. I can tell you that much. Big Mama had her own house. Y'all struggling in apartments. And then Big Mama was never evicted from my house. It was her house, first and foremost. And they always paid their house and their bills. They keep jacking up the rent on y'all. And you can't afford it. Now you got to leave or get risk getting evicted. So no. Let me tell you something, whether you like it or not. Women were put here for men. I'm talking about in the original biblical sense. God said man should not be alone. He said, so I'm going to create woman. And out of the rib of man, a woman was created to be a helpmeet for the man. So when you say you're going to be alone, if God said that it wasn't good for man to be alone. So if God said men, it's not good for men to be alone, then for sure it's not good for women to be alone. You think you know more than God? You think you better than God in his wisdom? I think not. That's why a lot of you are suffering, because you think you more than God or know better than God. You need a good man in your life, a God-fearing man that's going to love your dirty draws. Ain't going to do anything for you type of man. That's what you need. That's the only time when you really going to get some peace. You out here alone like that, not having nothing, struggling. Like the last video I made on this channel, the sister was crashing out. If she had a man, if she had a husband, she wouldn't be crashing out like that. Men do bring a degree of peace to you. Oh, yes, they do. You always focus on the men that's toxic and the men that's problems. That's all you focus on. There's a lot of good men in society, a lot of them. And if you say, well, where they at then? Be put in a position where you will find them. You're not going to find them in the club. You're not going to find them in the lounge. You're not going to find them in those places. Letting you know that right now. Maybe they're at certain events. They could be at whatever.